walking over in a Northampton kit, and I thought, oh, this kid's going to be quite good here.
The point where I had a shot and it went into the goal, like, didn't feel real. Like, Ferdinand was supposed to play, but he pulled out last minute because he was like injured or something. So Gallas came instead. Like, not a bad replacement.
Am I right in saying, did you get a trial at Crystal Palace?
Obviously it was a football competition, but was it like based on a bit of popularity as well, like who entertained people as well?
So I did these like mad step overs, drag back, like flicked it on my head. And he just went, brah, I've got to do that.
Welcome back to another episode of the From Nothing to Something podcast. As always, I am joined by my best friend, who is next to me. I was going to say to the right of me, but you're on my left. Mr. Louis Rafter. Louis, how are you?
Really good, Jack. How are you?
Yeah, all good.
Good, man.
Had a busy week, moved into the flat. Mentioned on the last podcast that I was moving into a flat. Finally got in. Lovely to have my own space back.
New builds, aren't they?
Yeah, they're bloody are.
Yeah, they are. We came around last night, didn't we, with some housewarming gifts?
Yeah, actually, I was actually really pleasantly surprised. Like, you bought a bottle of champagne, Carver, £7 from Sainsbury's. Thought that counts. Yeah. We had a glass, tasted like piss. Yeah. That doesn't matter. Few glasses as well. Reno bought round.
And a box of Lind. They were £7.50 from Shell.
You know, I've got a phobia of Lindor. Have I
George
told you
said
about
that.
this? Right, so
I'll
when
have
I
them back
was
then.
no, George likes them. When I was in year 6, we had our Valentine's disco, and the girl that I went to the disco with, I bought her some flowers. She bought me some chocolates, and the chocolates were Lindor. Have I told you this, John? No. So the chocolates she bought me were Lindor, and I sat in the corner of the disco and ate them all in like about 10 minutes.
I can tell.
And then, I was about 10.
Yeah, well.
13 years later, still carrying the puppy.
Hey, it comes back to bite you.
Moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. Yeah, and so I sat in the corner, ate them all, and then was like skidding and doing knee slides and that. And just,
shirt undone.
Yeah. And then spewed everywhere. So so I've now got a phobia of lint.
13 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's the thought. Like,
It's funny, innit, what food does to you and stuff like that.
Well, and also I got a phobia of flour as well, because when I used to do my YouTube channel, one of my videos was like a forfeit that I had to do was the flour challenge, and I held the flour in my mouth, and then like it went everywhere, but it was stuck behind my teeth for like 3 days, and I got really sick, and I was being sick, and all I could taste was this flour. So now I've got a phobia of flour.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm staying with pancakes. Tracy made me about 8 one night. Pancake day it was actually. Nailed them. Absolutely loved it. Went on trampoline about 3 minutes later. Threw them all back up.
Mad that.
I haven't touched them since.
I think pancakes are shit. Anyway, back to the podcast.
Never mind pancakes. I've got a guess.
We have got a guest today. Before we get into the guest, we want to talk about a holiday that we've just booked. We were meant to go to Albania, as a lot of you probably know, to a music festival. That's been cancelled, which was quite heart-wrenching, really. But we've managed to... Yeah, I was going to say heart-raking. But we've managed to sort of capture victory from the jaws of defeat with a
well put.
Yeah, with a holiday that we've booked to Corfu. So originally we were flying to Corfu, getting a boat to Albania. Now we're flying to Corfu, we're staying in Corfu, so we've booked a villa, and we've got a few more people coming that weren't going to come to the festival. 10 of us. This villa is absolutely shit hot.
It's a joke.
It's unbelievable.
The view, pool,
we're going to plan on doing a podcast when we're there, so that could be absolutely electric. Really looking forward to that. Gives us something to look forward to again. Taku is hopefully coming.
He's coming. He didn't have a choice.
Yeah, he said he's coming.
Yeah, he's coming.
So again, Taku abroad, another week away.
We are showing him the world, aren't we?
Yeah. This summer, he's going to France with his mum in a couple of weeks. Went to Magaluf, and he's going to Corfu. Yeah. His mates back home must think he's like fucking Pitbull. Yeah. Mr. Worldwide.
Tracy wants him to go to the Lake District as well.
That's a bit different to Corfu.
Yeah, well.
But lovely.
She's there at the moment. Oh, it's beautiful in the Lake District. Keswick.
Is that...
That's in the Lake District.
Keswick.
Keswick. Yeah. Have you not been?
No, never.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Never been in the Lake District.
Yeah, well nice.
He's meant to be sick. But I'm not. I did D of E. That's about as far as my.
Of course you did.
English.
The D of E.
Yeah, Duke of Edinburgh. Duke of Edinburgh was sick. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine you doing it, John. Yeah.
It was bad, boy. Yeah, you have a map. It's like orienteering. Did you ever do that at school, orienteering, when you had to put the things around the school field and you clip them?
Hated
what?
it.
It was sick.
Nah, give me a football.
Shut up. Yeah. Well, touching on football, Rafter, we'll move on to today's guest. We're I'm kind of rolling back the years here with this week's guest. It's a bit of a reunion. Scott Pollock will be joining us. Obviously, He is a friend from my time in the #acadmey. He went on to win it, has done superbly well from that, had loads of opportunities, now a pro footballer, currently at Yeovil Town. He's been at Northampton, was at Boston last season, had a great season there. He's played against Wayne Rooney. He was I think he's still involved with #, played against Steven Gerrard. He's living the dream kind of thing, isn't he, for a 22-year-old? And we want to talk to him about how sort of # helped him with that, what he's doing now, plans for the upcoming season with Yeovil, and just catch up, really.
Yeah, when did you last see him?
The last time I saw him was the day that I cried when he beat me. Let's get into it.
That is perfect. Can we get that up? Jack Durkin
That's
says.
not on camera. Yeah, I haven't seen him since it was announced. I'm sure I haven't. I've spoken to him a bit, but not him.
Any
not
hard
in person.
feelings?
Nah, nothing. Beat me fair and square.
The podcast ain't actually happy. You're just going to kick
I know, yeah.
hell out of him, aren't you?
Me and Scott are just having a UFC scrap. That's what it is. But yeah, we're excited for this. I'm excited for this. It'd be good to speak to Scott again, see what he's up to now. So let's get into it.
Vamos!
#wiki page. And there's a wiki, like a fan zone wiki page that they made for all the players that have ever played for #. Yeah. So you were on there, then it linked to me. They've got all my clubs up till this season that I'm playing for now. Okay. Like all the stats, how many appearances I made. Yeah. I was like, fucking hell. Is it in it?
It started when you two first went on it, didn't it? Is that right?
Nah, #, didn't. Nah.
Did it not?
#, was way before. Yeah, you didn't.
I never watched it. Because I'm a few years older than Jack. Yeah. So, like, none of my friends watched it, but I know there's a few lads back home, like 2021. Yeah. They know him.
Yeah. There was a few.
He loves it.
Fuck off, you dick. Do I thought when I first came to uni, I remember one of my best mates now. I live with George. Yeah. We were in the car on the way back from training from uni football, and one of the lads was like, "Oh, so what's this # thing?" And George was like, "The fuck are you on about?" And I told George, and George was like, "You are well bent, mate."
I know, when you try and explain it, like, some people don't get it.
Yeah, people that didn't watch it don't get it. Yeah. But then, I loved it. I thought it was a great experience. Yeah. It was much fun. Yeah.
There was thousands of applicants on there.
Yeah, it's like 20,000.
Is that what it was?
Actually, did the Google forum thing.
Yeah.
It was fucking loads. It was. I remember on that the first trial, he said, then he was like, to get even to this point, you've done unbelievably well.
Really?
That was before we'd even seen any of us.
So how many people were in it at that point, the first trial?
I think there was about 100 on one day and 100 the next day, wasn't there, or something like that, Saturday, Sunday.
200 total from 20,000. It was like
class,
ridiculous.
that, innit?
It was, it was Lewis Preston that went through every single one.
Was he?
And looked for keywords.
What did he
highlighted academy and words like that. That
did he?
Brought up a list of players that have.
Right, that makes sense. That, innit? Yeah. Well, what I did.
This will be ludicrous.
Let's just crack on with it. What I did was, because I loved #. I was like, fucking Spencer was like my idol at the time. I loved him. Used to watch him all the time, and I remember it was when I was starting to do YouTube, and I got a highlight reel that I'd done of leisure leagues and six-a-side or anything where I'd done some football skill and put it in a video. And then just put the # logo in the top right, and then right at the end, just put, don't forget to #. it. And I was like, if that doesn't get me in, then nothing will. I remember on Twitter when they were releasing saying, "Oh, we're going to send out the emails." I replied to it going "Oh, is mine coming? Is mine coming?" like that. And then they put on one of the days make sure to check it tomorrow. Yeah. And I remember telling all my mates, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, this is actually happening! I can't believe this is actually happening."
Yeah. I saw online yours went to a junk folder, didn't it?
Is
that right?
Mine it's mental. I was literally on the way back. I think my mum was in the car. She said, "Oh, check your email for something completely different." I went in my junk, and then it's big congratulations, I can't remember because it was Adam Bolt with that sent it. It was congratulations, you've made it to the first round of the # thing. I looked at Mum. She had no idea what was going on. She was like, what do you mean? You're going to go down to London and meet a load of strangers and play football? I was thinking, no. I was literally this is the biggest thing ever. I have to go to it. And Mum was like, no, you're not going to that. It's just some random football thing. She had no idea what it was. So I was like, no, I'm literally, this is what I'm doing.
Could you imagine if you hadn't seen that email as well? How different things.
Because it was I had a week from that point to fully accept it.
Oh, was it?
Reply to the email.
Fuck.
Because I got this was November, I think. And when there was a cut-off point.
Yeah, because the application I think was around September time.
Yeah.
And because the first trial was January, wasn't it? Of 2017. I think it was 2017.
Yeah.
And funny you say that about your mum. I remember on the way, me and my dad, obviously, we came from Lincoln.
Yeah.
So it was 4 hours car journey. We had to be there for 10 a.m. in the morning. And we got up at 4. And I was getting into the car with my dad. My dad went to me, he went, if this is fucking shit, I'm never doing anything with you again.
I can imagine it.
It is, yeah. Right, Scott, just before we get into the proper chat and sort of divulge into everything, we have a section called the potluck. That pot there has got a load of random questions in, bit of an icebreaker. Do you want to grab a question out, mate?
Yeah.
Have a look.
Yeah, go to dish to cook if hosting a dinner party.
Can you cook? For some reason, I've got in my head that you're not bad at cooking.
I'm alright. Yeah.
Or have I made that up? I don't know. I might have made that up. Or are you a bit of a foodie?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's from your Instagram. I'm not
I do
too
post
sure.
a lot of food on Instagram.
That must be it. So what are you cooking then?
To be fair, I done one the other night. It's like a teriyaki sirloin steak.
Oh,
Gee.
Underneath, a bit of like kind of stir fry veg, and then a bit of rice.
yeah, good.
Which is good. Or another one's like a pad thai, which I don't know why it's always like Asian kind of
Yeah,
like inspired. Or I do make a good paella as well.
Fair.
There's a kitchen
paella.
there, pal.
But I think they're good ones as well for dinner party.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
put a massive dish, like
Defo.
just put a spoon in the
Everyone
middle, and
tuck
then
in.
everyone.
Is that for you?
everyone.
Did you make that for you and the missus? Yeah.
Yeah.
And was she buzzing with that?
Like buzzing, yeah.
Yeah.
Made it for the family as well. And
Oh,
they were like-
nice.
they were loving it.
Classy, innit?
Guy.
Yeah.
Knows what he's doing. Knows his way around a kitchen as well as a football pitch. So yeah, we spoke a little bit before, which will probably be in this episode. How we know each other is basically obviously from the hashtag academy. Throwing back from 6 years, was it? 6, 7? How was that 6 years ago, by the way?
Gone quick or slow?
Fucking hell, flew by. I always look back at the photos and think how young I look. Like both of us look so.
Ridiculously young.
Both got a bit of facial hair now.
Yeah.
Both look a bit older. But I remember
That
the first.
generally happens.
Does it? Yeah, I remember the first time I seen Scott, and Scott was walking over, and I was one of the youngest ones there. And I knew you'd defo be sort of around my age as well.
Yeah.
And you're walking over in a Northampton kit. And I thought, oh, this kid's going to be quite good here. And then luckily we started talking, didn't we? Were we in the same team?
Yeah, the same
Were
team.
we? The same five-a-side team? Was it the same five-a-side team or same team that we played in the game together at the end?
Same five-a-side team.
Was it?
Yeah.
So we had a five-a-side team. It was shit up, to be fair. I think we won every single.
Yeah, the blue team, wasn't it?
Yeah, we absolutely dicked everyone.
Yeah.
And I remember celebrating, giving it all right.
Yeah, of course you were.
Of course I was. I was trying to do
What
it.
did you think when you first met us?
Yeah, that's a good question.
When
What
you
were your
first-
first impressions of me?
Well, I think when you're on our team, it's like, oh, we've got a decent team there.
Yeah,
doing a few passes in the warm-up, thinking like we need a good team to
Yeah,
kind of stand
You had-
out. So
That was the thing. You wanted to look good.
Yeah.
So like you were just like, you're trying to sort of put yourself across that you got a bit about you, and also that you're decent at football.
Yeah.
And then like there's some lads in the video that make me laugh. I watch every now and then. I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah.
And some of them, like one guy says he compared himself to Mark Noble. I was like,
Not
"What?"
Pearl, I was Mark Noble.
Going, I'm probably like Mark Noble. I just get the job
Yeah,
done.
just-
I
yeah.
was like, what?
When you need to impress, like maybe not Mark Noble,
I know.
like steady. I'm just steady. Like I just go around the pitch.
That's
I'm
what he
all
said.
right.
Yeah,
innit?
steady away.
Yeah.
You said something
Yeah.
like
Fair,
that. I
if
was
you know
just
your
like-
job, then
I mean, he just came too honest.
Yeah. And then
fair.
I think for me, in that episode as well, me and you were sort of put to the front a little bit. Obviously, you had to remember the name, which set you in massive stead. Everyone knows you from that. I had Pressure Makes Diamonds, which then obviously ran with me for a little bit, and you boys all know about that.
Yeah.
And then obviously at the end, they were speaking about who they thought should go through and things like that. And yours was the first one, I think, that Seb said. Obviously, Seb said you, and then I think a couple of the other guys said you as well. And then what's Robbie's surname? Do you remember? Is it Rob? Small Rob.
Yeah.
What's he? I've forgotten, but he said me, and I remember watching it back, thinking, "Oh my god, this is brilliant! Like this is world class."
Obviously, it was a football competition, but was it like based on a bit of popularity as well, like who entertained people as well?
I think it's the same with any like reality show.
Yeah,
innit?
it kind of develops into that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
to begin
did
with,
it?
they're just looking at who's the best footballer, like who's scoring, who's in the highlights.
Yeah.
And then it eventually goes on. Like,
Well, the different challenges that we did, they were sort of more aimed to getting our personality out a little bit, especially like the interviews one that we did, which was the second to last one. And I wore some horrific jeans in that. Like they're like, do you remember, like what Sam Smith looked like when he had the rope around him? My legs were like that. They were like ripped all the way down, like terrible. Like I looked like a piece of ham.
So you
the camera angle as well is like
I
just
know, yeah.
leg.
It was
Half of it was
warm
just
my
a leg.
and I was
Really?
thinking, for fuck's sake. And he said in the email they sent out, they said don't wear any branded things. And I didn't have like the one. I was like 16, 17, so all my clothes were a bit shit anyway. but I had to look for something that had nothing on it. It was this shit, horrible, like, grey top with a couple of colours on the shoulder. And I look back now and I just think, what the fuck?
I was
was
wearing
that?
like fucking Stone Island.
Innit?
I was like, get the
thought
badge
that.
in.
Yeah.
Like,
Sing that, boys.
I was like, yeah, get the badge in here.
You had the Stoney on. I seen him on the day and thought, fuck, he's absolutely smashing this.
Yeah.
And I look like I've come from St. Barnabas charity shop or something.
Wait, how hot was that room? Though?
Oh my
Wait,
God, absolute.
fucking
Where was
boiling.
that? What was it?
YouTube
Was it
Space
Football
or
Daily?
something
No,
like that.
Football Daily or something. But it was
Yeah, it's
sick
in
where we did it.
Vauxhall,
Yeah,
like,
it was.
in London, yeah.
Why? What were we doing in there then?
So that was like interviews. So they would ask us. So Seb was like trying to be like bad cop, wasn't he? And he was like trying to like ask us some like serious questions. So I had a video that went out on my channel at the time. It was a public video, and I was going around like being a prick basically to like
Unlike you.
public. No, like, not like an arsehole, but like trying to get like funny clips and like shit answers. And like we said something to this one guy, and Seb said it in the video, and he was trying out really serious, wasn't he? And he was like, "So do you think that's acceptable? Because you swear quite a lot as well, and we don't really swear." And I'm like laughing, and he's like, "Nah, it's not funny." Like,
Really?
but then obviously he was joking.
Yeah.
But on the camera, he had to be serious. So I was kind of like,
Yeah, you didn't have to, you didn't have to
yeah,
react to
no,
it.
I shot myself.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
proper like,
Were they intense with you?
A few of them were.
yeah,
Were they?
Seb
Like
was, yeah. And then Nash did, Paul Nash. This is such a throwback, man. Paul Nash did like funny questions and was like, they were a bit like brain teasers, weren't they, or whatever they're called. And we had to like, riddles, that's it, fucking brain teasers. We had to like figure out, what it was. Where have I got brain teasers from? But that final four was me, you, Dan Adjei and Jamel.
Yeah.
Dan Adjei, I really hope he's watching this because he was one of the funniest
Mate, I
people
love
I've
him.
ever met in my life. He wanted Neil to adopt him.
Yeah.
He kept telling me he wanted my dad to adopt him.
Yeah.
And he said, when they said, what would you spend the money on? Because he won $3,000, didn't they? The winner won $3,000. And he went, probably just go Nando's, my little brother.
He had
Think
no
big.
idea.
Yeah, no.
The thing is, that was like later on.
Yeah.
Like, he could have had a line to say, like, just just bullshit his way through it and just say,
Innit?
I'm going to buy a car, get a holiday or something. It was like, I didn't even think about the money, like, I just want to get a Nando's.
Did
he?
Because his little brother told him to apply,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
So he's like, probably just take my little brother to Nando's and
Yeah.
just sort him out. And I was like, what?
Was he a good player?
Dan, yeah.
Dan, yeah.
He was a bit awkward, wasn't he? He was like really tall, gangly, but he was sick at five-a-side.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, he played so much five-a-side for that
played
Adidas Tango.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Do you remember
it was a
Adidas
joke.
Tango League?
No.
So I think it was, you know all the 3G pitches that are outside Wembley?
Yeah.
I think it was there, wasn't it? And he played for a team there, and he's like 6'3", 6'4", really like gangly, but his feet were a joke, weren't they?
What was
he
he, a
loved-
winger or something?
Striker.
Striker.
But he'd love that, like, sort of getting in the centre-back, like, behind him.
Yeah.
And then just, like, turning
And
them
he
and
was
stuff
so
like that.
he was so bony as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
He was a bit awkward, but
Yeah.
he's
They're
a
awkward
good finisher.
players, aren't
yeah,
they?
yeah, really.
Like bony and gangly.
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
What does he do now? I wonder.
I've not really seen him.
I seen him on Instagram. He must have a good job. Did he work for Adidas or
I think he
something?
did something with Adidas.
Because they said, didn't they? They said to him, "There's a bit of a confrontation because what you're going to choose hashtag or Tango League."
Yeah, that's where I think he fucked up.
Yeah. What did he say?
He didn't really have like an answer. He didn't have a
He
straight
laughed,
answer. He
didn't
didn't just
he?
go, "Oh yeah, I play for hashtag," obviously.
Did
He
he?
was like, "Oh well, I don't really know."
he
Like,
did say
That's
that.
not the answer we're looking
and I
for.
think Seb tried to push it, and then
Yeah.
he kind of like fucked it by saying, "Oh well, but I'll do this for Adidas." And Seb was like, "So you won't play for hashtag?" He was like, "Well, you know, I'm kind of tied in with Adidas and stuff like that." I was thinking, literally just say anything. Just
digging
say,
a hole, innit? Yeah.
Just say, "Oh, I'll play for hashtag," and then worry about that later.
Yeah, and then who else was there? God, we're just going through all the names. Adam Lovett was a player. He plays for Sutton, doesn't he? Is he at Sutton
I
United?
think he's still there.
Yeah. League Two. Aaron Thorpe. He's
he's
from
a good
Bolton
player.
actually. He was a good player. He probably got let go a little bit too early, didn't he? Because in one of the challenges, was it the challenges that he went out on at West Ham? Do you remember?
Yeah, was it challenges or fitness?
It might have been the fitness one. When I did my push-ups.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I've seen all this.
Oh, that was absolute. I got peppered.
Do you remember
know.
all this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mate, it's mental how that just suddenly blew up. Like,
I remember hashtag Dirking Out going
Yeah.
round YouTube on like a KSI video,
Yeah.
a Mini Minter video. Like Dirking Out was the top like comment. I was
That I
like,
could get behind.
I was like 17. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? This is
I was
horrid.
some fucking
Yeah.
push-ups
Did you
as
have any
well,
backlash for anything, Scott?
Not really.
Nah, yours was all good stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I probably put myself out there too much. I think you were really good at sort of, because you're obviously really good at football, and then you kind of just spoke to the camera when they asked you and said the right
I
thing.
didn't really try. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really do too much.
No,
I didn't
whereas
know how-
I was.
Yeah, I didn't know how it'd like come
I
across.
knew I was doing too much.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to be a bit of like a pleb. but like
But it's
for
like-
people to
yeah,
like me.
yeah.
And because I knew he was better at football than me, I thought the only way I'm going to get far in this is if I try and be a bit like my personality comes through a little bit.
Yeah.
Which did work to a certain
Yeah, it
extent.
did well.
Yeah.
I got to the final two, which is
Yeah.
what I wanted. Do you think hashtag sort of kick-started your career?
Yeah, I definitely say so.
Without in terms of when you signed for Northampton, were you on contract with hashtag? How did that all work?
So it wasn't actually any contract or anything. It was just like you basically into the first team.
Yeah.
You obviously get the prize money and you start playing for them. There was no like contract or any negotiation with like Northampton. It was literally from hashtag, had a few trials and then into Northampton.
So were you still at? Because you were at Northampton as like was it a YTS or not a YTS? It was like the
Before I was like football and education program.
Right.
So it's like not
college.
a youth team but college.
Yeah.
But you're associated with like Northampton. So I was playing and training every day, but doing like a BTEC. So.
And so I'm assuming they all knew you already, sort of automatically from doing that.
Yeah.
And then
so I still had to do like a few games, like the Spanish tour and stuff. So I had to take like a week out of doing the college stuff to
Right. Okay. To
to
play
go
for
there.
hashtag.
Yeah.
So what games?
They knew about it.
What games did you play for hashtag then? So you played the Spanish tour, obviously the Wembley Cup,
Yeah.
which you absolutely ran ragged road to shore, which is so funny.
Did you get man of the match there? Is that right?
Yeah.
The Wembley
you
Cup.
did,
Yeah.
You know Harry outside man road to shore.
Yeah.
So there's a. Did you assist Dan Brown? Is that what it was when
For
you
the, yeah.
you like? Basically, he was running at Harry, and Harry like trips over himself. He just like drops a little shoulder, shimmies him, goes round and crosses it. And Harry afterwards was like saying, "Oh, he was just like, I've never been embarrassed that much in my life." Because
Really?
literally, he's in Wembley in front of how many people? 30,000.
30,000.
Yeah.
Scott's just like dropped the shoulder, gone round Harry. And Harry's just like slowly falling. So funny.
Who was playing that game then? Any big names? There was a few.
Gerrard.
Gerrard,
Yeah.
Did
like
Rooney
Robbie.
play?
No,
Nah.
Rooney, you played it for Northampton, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Who else was
Robbie
playing?
Fowler, David James in goal.
Was Pires there?
Not
Was
that
that
one.
another
No,
year?
No. Ferdinand was supposed to play, but he pulled out last minute because
Did
he
he?
was like injured or something. So Gallas came instead. Like,
Wow.
not a bad replacement.
William Gallas.
What was that?
Probably
Gerrard
Savage as well. To be fair, Gerrard was decent on his
Was
day.
he?
Like, because it was only a couple of years after he's like fully retired, so he was still like
A
fit,
joke.
like literally just pinging balls across the pitch.
I bet he was like 50% as well.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like, this is just...
But you could tell like mentally he wanted to win.
Yeah,
Like, he
well,
was shouting.
same with Carragher and...
Yeah.
Was that game or was that a
was
different one?
The year before.
Was it?
Yeah,
Carragher and Joe Weller.
Yeah.
Because Joe Weller was being a shithouse Carragher. And Carragher, there's a clip of Carragher anyway, he's like, I'm going to fucking do you in or something.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I
to
know,
Joe
the
Weller.
charity matches.
Yeah, the charity
Yeah,
match
no.
is so funny. So obviously from the Wembley Cup then, am I right in saying, did you get a trial at Crystal Palace?
Yeah.
Is that from the Wembley Cup?
Yeah, Mark Bright was commentating on it.
Right.
And he did like a few of the interviews, and he was, I think he's head of the 23s at the time. And I think he spoke to Seb or Spencer and said like, oh, who's this lad playing for? Obviously he's like young, like could be up and coming talent. So he got me a trial there, went down for a week and like, I done all right. Played in like a practice match, got a goal and assist.
Oh, right.
But that was with the like 18s as well. So
Right.
I was only 16 at the time, so still like really young. And yeah, he got me a trial, done all right. But in the end they were like, we've got 50 other players like coming through, like we can't bring more people in that are on a similar level. So in the end, I kind of got turned away. But at the time, I was like, that's all right. I'll just carry on playing football. Like I got this hashtag stuff, so it wasn't like a too big of a blow. I was like, just carry on playing football.
Yeah.
Good experience.
Yeah, I was
but
going to say,
Definitely.
yeah.
I read you had trials at Leicester as a goalkeeper.
yeah.
What's all that about?
I used to be a keeper.
And also,
He said you were really good.
do you remember we did a video in Lincoln and you
Yeah.
came and went
Yeah,
in goal
yeah.
for a little bit?
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought you were
Yeah.
joking. Like,
Good.
Like it was, he's like a cat. Like it was stupid, but because you're not too tall.
No,
how
no,
tall
like
are you?
in a full size goal, like, I wouldn't be any good.
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
But his and the way he was like saying it, like looked like he'd like done this
yeah,
100
yeah,
times before.
yeah.
His proper
Yeah.
camera saves, but he was saving them as well. And I was
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck?
So when did you transition into like an outfield player?
It was like
How old were you?
12, I think.
Oh, yeah.
12 or 13. But I was doing like a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So,
Sweeper keeper.
Just dropping the ball.
so I used to just go like in school matches and just like playing goal, and like I loved it. And if I ever got bored of like playing outfield, my mates were like, "Oh, we need a keeper in goal," so I'd just go in goal. So most other keepers, like if they're not a keeper, like they're pretty shit in goal.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, I'll go in goal," and like just enjoyed like diving around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
Fair.
enjoyed that, but eventually I was like, if I'm not going to get big enough, then I probably should go like outfield.
Yeah.
So that's what I did in the end.
So what teams have you been on trial at over your sort of your career? I guess you're only 22, so fucking. Are you 22? That's right.
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
So Leicester, Palace, anywhere else?
And just Northampton.
Northampton as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Mad. I think that's so impressive that you've gone as a goalkeeper at Leicester to a centre mid in Crystal Palace. What would you class your position as actually? Centre mid?
Now probably centre attacking mid.
Would you?
Yeah.
Because when you're at Boston, we're moving all over the shop here, but there's so many things that link to things, so it's hard not to. When you were at Boston, you had a 6 season, didn't you? I remember seeing you all over Twitter, like banging in goals, getting assists, left, right, and centre. I was at Boston when I was 16 as well. Yeah, when I was well, it's near me. That's near Lincoln, isn't it? What was that sort of year like for you at Boston? I guess that's sort of where you came into your own a little bit.
Yeah, I did enjoy that because obviously going from Northampton, kind of being the young one, like not the main. Obviously the main player, so going to Boston it was kind of like, this is my chance to be that like main guy in the team, and you get that confidence, like that's what you need, like just go and play 30 matches and then have a full season of playing and like get your confidence back up. So that's what I did and I really enjoyed it.
So we'll go back to a step kind of thing. So from hashtag to Northampton, then Northampton you made your debut sort of, how old were you when you made your debut?
For Northampton?
Yeah.
17.
17, wow. And was that wasn't against Rooney, was it?
No.
That was just like a league
Cambridge.
game or something, was it?
Yeah, league game.
And then when did you score your first goal?
When I was 18.
And what was that like?
Yeah, it was mental.
How very well.
It's a weird feeling though, because I was like, I remember it so clearly, but the point where I had a shot and it went into the goal, like, didn't feel real. Like, literally went into it, I saw the net move, I was like, that's just happened, like, what's just happened? And like, how I remember it, it went middle of the goal. I look back, it literally clipped the crossbar, like, top corner and went in. I was like, I don't remember that at all.
I think
It's
that's
so
what
weird.
happens.
It's mad,
So
isn't it?
in like a massive goal that you scored, like you don't really remember it.
Process it.
But what was that feeling sort of after the game when you'd realised what you'd done?
The best feeling.
Was it?
We won 2-0 as well.
Class.
It's Carlisle away. So it's a fucking like 6-hour journey, but obviously the coach back was good.
Just buzzing.
Just like literally scrolling through Twitter, seeing all the comments and everything.
That's class.
If it weren't for hashtag, do you think you'd have had a similar career, or would it have gone a different way?
I don't know, because I was kind of like just wanted to play football.
Yeah.
And obviously hashtag like kept me involved, like properly playing. But if I didn't do hashtag, I might have just done like uni football and like probably done A levels and then uni football and then just seen what I've done from there. Yeah.
To be fair, the level you're at now, obviously with Yeovil last season, Boston the season before, that's quite like a path now where people can get to that level from playing non-league.
Yeah.
Like I play non-league, and then there's a lad who I played with last season who's just signed for Farsley Celtic, and are they same league
Conference
as
North?
Are they?
Yeah.
So are they Boston's league?
League,
yeah. So he's just signed for them, and he was literally playing with me last season. So it's not a million miles away, because obviously depending on what area you're in catchment wise, like for us Leeds is so many teams around here. So everyone sort of either knows everyone, you rub shoulders with people, or you go watch a game and think, oh, to stand out in this league, let's take a chance, because that's all it is. It is literally taking a chance, isn't it?
I mean, Vardy, what league was he in?
Yeah, he was at Stocks. Was he Stocksbridge or something? Something like that.
He was at Halifax.
Yeah, Halifax. Yeah.
There's a few other teams,
Sheffield,
like Fleetwood when they were a bit lower and stuff like that.
And then there's Charlie Austin as well. Ian Wright came from there.
Beckford did it with Leeds.
Like Kilman. Was it Kilman?
Yeah, Kilman's at Maidenhead.
And now aren't they going to get a massive payout or something?
Yeah,
You've seen that
if he goes to Napoli. So
Kilman's linked with Napoli, and if he signs for Napoli for 40 million,
they do that a lot in young people's contracts. Like.
They get like 7.2 mil or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Around that. So imagine how big that would be for a club like that.
Northampton got a little bit, I think, for Carney.
Did they?
For when he went to Chelsea.
Right. Okay.
So it was like a 20 mil move, and I think Northampton got like 10% of it.
Oh. And that's, but the thing is, for lower league clubs, that is huge.
It's massive.
Like that does so much.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about when you play against Rooney as well, because obviously you were still really young there. So would you have been 18 then?
18, yeah.
What's that moment like? There's a photo, it's a great photo, which I'll probably put in, of you and Rooney like contesting for the ball. And I remember looking at it and thinking, that is fucking mean. Because it was when he was at Derby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you start that game then?
No, I came on. We played him twice because it went to a replay at theirs.
Right. Was it the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Right.
But came on with like 30 minutes to go both games.
How good was he?
To be fair, you could tell he still had a bit, like, technically. The first leg at Northampton, he wasn't, like, involved in the game as much.
Yeah.
Obviously, he went to their place and, like, bigger pitch, like, their crowd and stuff, and then started dropping in, getting on the ball, just, like, fizzing passes.
He probably wanted to win that game, because it's a replay as well. They probably thought, right, we need to just get past. Did they beat you?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah,
Right.
during the first one, and then I think they won
mad that you played Rooney.
4-2 or something in the second one.
Rooney, Gerrard, William
Yeah,
Gallas. That is
rogue.
so good. That
Yeah.
William Gallas. I'd have fucking loved that. After the we're going everywhere here, but I can't seem to stick on one thing because there's so many questions to ask. After the Wembley Cup, then. Did you speak to like any of the players, or like what were people saying to you after the Wembley Cup? Because you had a great game there, obviously got man of the match.
Yeah.
You must have been on cloud nine following that as well, especially at the after party or whatever was going on after that.
A few drinks like down at the bar after, and sort of chatting away to a few people, and there was like a lot of YouTubers there and stuff. So I remember, I think it was Ethan Bazinga came up to me and was like, "Oh, I need you at West Ham," like stuff like this, like just obviously like talking to them all and stuff. But like, it felt good like after that just to like go and basically
get your trumpet blown a little bit.
Just talk to everyone, and obviously getting man of the match, it helps to like.
Especially because obviously you were into YouTube like I was. Yeah. For that to be from all those people that you probably were watching at the time as well, must have been.
That's what the weirdest thing is, like they're coming up to me.
Yeah.
To obviously congratulate me, like you played well and stuff like that, and me just like standing there like kind of fanboying like. Thanks.
Can I get a picture?
Yeah.
So
can I get a picture as well? Like,
so surreal. That's class. I remember when we were in the process, the Academy series. I remember Cal Freezy tweeted me, and I remember thinking, "Oh my god, Cal Freezy's just like added me." He just said it was when I was getting loads of shit for the push-ups. He was like, "Keep your head up, mate." And I remember telling my little sister was into YouTube, and she was well, and she was like, "Oh my god, Jack, that is amazing. That is like the best thing that's ever happened to you." I was like, he literally just added me on Twitter, and I was like proper fanboying. Did you play at the Emirates as well? You did, didn't you? Because that was what the first game.
That was my first game.
And what number were you?
77.
77, that's it. And then didn't you change? Rob Easton, that's his name. Rob Easton.
Yeah.
Rob Easton, because didn't you swap numbers with him? Is that right?
I think so, yeah. I think he left and then I had that.
What number was he?
I can't remember.
Was it 7? Did you go from 77 to 7?
There was someone, I think it was Faisal that was 7.
Oh yeah, Manji, yeah.
Someone was 17, I don't know if it was Theo or someone like that.
Right.
So I was like, I wanted 7 and then I wanted 17, so I thought I'll just go 77.
Manj dog.
What was he like?
Manj dog is literally, I'm so on it. Manj dog was Spencer's best mate. Yeah. Faisal Manji's name is. Yeah, he's a legend, wasn't he? He's like a cult hero at
he scored the first goal.
That was it, yeah. And everybody, do you know what? One of the most common questions I get asked, if anyone recognises me from it, they go, "What's Spencer like?" Yeah. And then, "What was Faisal Manji like?" Yeah. Because he's like, just like, you know, he's the best way I could describe to you would be like he's like a bit like an NPC. Like he doesn't seem like he's a real person, really. But then he's the nicest bloke ever. And he just loved playing for hashtag.
The thing is, he didn't look like a footballer like the way he moved about. But I tell you, he could put a cross in like 9 out of 10 times it would be on your head.
On the money.
So he did that crossing thing at one of the trials, and like he had to cross it in because we were doing headers. Literally every single time it was like on your head. Like,
but apart from that, he wasn't great, was he? But he's crossing.
He knew he didn't. Yeah.
And everybody just would go on about his crossing. You were so right. We do it at West Ham, the training ground, doing these heading drills or whatever it was, crossing drills, and every single one that he put in was pinpoint on the money. And everyone, but then all the lads that are at hashtag are like, he's like what you are to me. So they're all mates from uni. So like it'd be like one of like Bristol, who's a goalkeeper, he's our best mate. It's like it'd be like him putting in crosses and pinpoint. So they're all like, oh my god, But we were actually just sort of like, class. This is like what's going on here? This is mental. Are you still in contact with hashtag then? I know obviously Seb's your agent. We touched on that off camera.
Seb, Spencer, a few people like Lewis, Marcus, people like that.
So in terms of keeping in contact, have you got like any? I think I saw something that you're doing something with the club again, sort of coming up. Is that right, or have I just made that up? I might have made that up. Or you were in like their top 11 or something.
Yeah, they're doing some sort of. They do that fan token thing. Like,
was that what it was?
For the thing. Right. Yeah. So that comes up a few times, but.
So is it just you just keep in contact with them, like you have a chat every now and then, or do you do anything for the club still, or?
Not really. I've been like to a few games and their big FA Cup games and stuff like that. I try and head down when I can.
How far is it from you for Northampton? It's not far, is it?
To be fair, it's hour and 40.
Is it? Yes, it's not too bad.
What league are they in now?
I think they've just gone up.
Step 3.
Yeah.
What was it when you
League.
joined?
League.
Was it like Sunday League or something? Or what?
Yeah, they
Was
weren't
it?
actually in a league, so
No,
it's
were
just
they not?
playing friendlies.
It was,
Div 1.
Yeah, it was.
they're fake. FIFA Div 1.
Yeah, like on FIFA, like FIFA 14, you had Division 10.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
So they
It's
would
like their
set
own league,
up.
but obviously to make it competitive, like they needed to get out of each league.
Ah, right.
So they'd set up friendlies.
Yeah.
And yeah, they did. Oh my god, that's so funny. To make it look like they were getting out, or like getting on with they were playing better teams and things like that.
Yeah.
Because some of the teams that they played were
They
so
were
bad.
horrendous.
Were they?
Like some of them were like the first game was against Sun Dream Team or something on it.
Yeah.
And I think they beat them like 15-0 or something daft.
Yeah.
And they played a team of comedians and again absolutely
battered
dicked them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were going from Division 10 to Division 1, and then they got to Division 1. And then I think they just applied to get into the football pyramid. But there was something, there was like a massive hoo-ha about it, the name
they
or
got
something.
fast-tracked to like step 6.
Yeah.
He's
Why?
supposed to start at like step 9,
innit?
but because they had like foundations in place to start there, and it happened to be that a team got kicked out or something, and there was a spot in a certain league in Essex that they could go in straight away.
Yeah.
So they actually didn't kick anyone out, but people thought, they've just fast-tracked their way to step 6. Like all these teams that have been there for years, like they've been booted out, but actually there was a spot there, so they just got in.
There is criteria to meet, like stands and floodlights and stuff.
So they met all that.
And they ground shared, didn't they, for a little bit, I think, with some team.
Haringey Borough.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So they had all
right next to New River. You know,
was it?
Where the
Oh,
trials
yeah.
were.
Oh, was it really?
Literally down the road. From
Right. Okay. So so that makes sense then. Was that Tottenham Court Road?
Yeah.
It was, wasn't it? I remember getting tubes there all the time. I used to this makes me laugh because you have no idea what we're on about. But for me,
you're not speaking Spanish. I can't. I am with you.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like
Yeah.
me and you, like this is like me growing up. This is exactly what I used to. I remember you used to go training. I used to get the train from Lincoln to London every Tuesday after the academy series was over because I wanted to play for the team, and I'd train every Tuesday from I'd leave school at 3, get the train from Lincoln at about 4, get to London for like 6, then training would be 7 till like 8:30, then I'd get back at like 1 a.m. in the morning, go to school the next day, and I did that for like 10 weeks in a row. Luckily mum and dad paid for it, so I didn't have to fund that, but it was like 30 quid each train ticket. And I was just like, I just really want to play for Hashtag, really want to play for Hashtag. And my aim was I was going to go to a uni in London so that I could then sort of stay involved in the club. But then came to Leeds, and I remember playing in the game. My final game for Hashtag was against Loughborough Uni. But I come on for like 15 minutes and I missed an absolute sitter. Like I'm talking like I was metre Scott away from the goal. Ball's come whizzed in. I've gone to put it in my foot and it hit my heel and went the other way. And I was like, oh my fucking God, there's no way. And then the last minute of the game, it was 1-1. Last minute of the game, balls come to me on the edge of the box and I've gone to turn out. Their player read it, tackled me, scored. And I was like, fuck's sake. And then Jay, who's the manager now, Jay Devereux, I think it is. He just came over to me and he was like, so what's your plan? And I said, I think I'm going to go Leeds. And he was like, all right, well, if you're going to go Leeds, it probably doesn't make sense for this to carry on or whatever. He was so sound about it, to be fair. But I remember thinking, what do I do now? I was like, shit, I'm absolutely like...
Any regrets about coming Leeds?
Nah, I love Leeds. I'm so glad I come to Leeds.
It's
Leeds
class.
was the best thing that I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember, it's just so mad talking about it all, because I don't speak about it to any of you boys, 'cause obviously...
Don't care.
Yeah, exactly that. You think I'm an absolute swat from it. So I don't really speak about it. So like going through it all and...
reminiscing it all, like the whole series. Is just mad.
It's class. It was so much fun.
How long did it go on for then, the series?
It's like 5 months.
Yeah,
Was
January to about May, I
May,
think, was the announcement.
Yeah.
And that was, we played, so it was eight episodes, is that right?
8 episodes.
8 episodes. So the first one was our trial, next one was another trial. Then we played another game where the 2 trialists played each other. Then we played against a Hashtag team where Akan Fenwar came and watched.
Yeah.
And that was when I met Akan Fenwar. And Tony Cotty. And then who else was it?
Yeah, someone else.
It was some YouTuber that's, he was like a striker, like tutor. He was like a 1-to-1 STR skill school or something like that. I think it might be that,
I think it was him.
Fuck, I've plucked that out thin air, by the way.
That's a throwback.
So he was there. Then the 4th one, no, that was the 4th one. The 5th one was the challenges. Yeah. 6th one was challenges. 7th one was the interviews. 8th one was the final episode on it.
What were the interviews like?
It was,
I know you touched on them earlier.
They were. It was a bit of a different one, because that was the first time like they tried to get our personality out.
Yeah, because there was like no football related stuff. Really. It was just kind of down like one-to-one
Yeah.
talking. You didn't really know how to like react to the questions as well. You didn't know whether to like banter some of them or be serious because like they need to know the answers to them. But
And I think, as well, when you're in that situation, you're so cautious about what you're going to say because of how people will perceive it. So, and what they did was that we would like film an episode, and then an episode would be released prior. The episode that we released prior would then be released after that. So when the push-ups came out, I remember we'd actually just done the episode for the interviews. So I knew I was in the final two with Scott. Obviously, no one knew this, and the push-ups came out, and then I got loads of stick from the push-ups. So like I'm talking like I remember what I did alongside the series was I did like a my hashtag experience on my channel, which got me like the followers that I've got, and the video that I did for the episode where we do the physical challenges got about 15,000 dislikes and like 1,000 likes. Just purely because of the push-ups, and I had to disable the comments on them. Yeah, mate, it was absolutely.
Do you think it had an
mental.
impact on the final result?
Thing is, I knew you were better at football than me, so I was, like I say, I was just trying to get across my personality. But I think it did. But then also in the final game as well, like I scored and then did a push-up celebration. So I was like,
that's great.
It
I
was
still,
good.
I still fucked up the push-up.
Of course you did.
I was like, when I did it, I remember thinking, right, make sure you're doing it properly. And I remember watching it back on the arse while I was still in the air a little bit, and I was thinking, fuck, thank God the camera's miles away, so no one can see.
That's class.
I don't know if it affected. I
think a little bit.
Yeah,
I think a little bit.
The thing is, as well, is like I was buzzing to get as far as I had. Like I think that series is like kind of like a little bit iconic, like because it was the first one. Yeah, like it did so well on YouTube.
They all got like 1 million views.
Yeah,
is that what they've got?
Yeah, like every single episode. Like they just blew up madly.
It was the first like of that kind of thing. Yeah, like an actual series. Yeah, because they based it kind of like apprentice style, like the way they did certain stuff, and like obviously going through different rounds and different challenges. It was like the first of its kind. So
it was such a clever way to do something.
And because of the prize at the end is like you get into hashtag. Like for a random person to just get into this hashtag. Like that was the main thing, and then obviously they done 2 other series after that, but I didn't really watch any. No, it didn't really take off as like.
I know that Josh Asude won one, but then no, I didn't. Yeah. Joe, what it was like, because obviously I lost. The thing is, I didn't even lose, but because you come second, you're classed as the first loser. Yeah. So everybody was just like, you lost. But in actual fact, I didn't. I just didn't win.
Yeah, there's 20,000 people.
That's what I meant to get to that stage.
Exactly, they lost. I didn't actually lose, but because I was the first loser, it felt like I'd lost, and it was just me and you the whole way through. And I remember it being like my first ever breakup, because I was like, honestly, I couldn't watch any hashtag stuff for so long. Cause I was just like, I can't believe I've like lost this here.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you have to block a bird on everything because like you can't see it.
I
had to pretend it didn't exist. Yeah. So for like 2 or 3 months after, I just didn't watch any YouTube videos of hashtag. All my mates would tell me about like what was going on, and I was like, boys, I don't want to hear it.
Unfollowed Scott on everything.
We stayed in touch on everything, and I still followed them on everything. I would just make, like, if I was scrolling through something and saw like a post, I just whizzed straight through it. I wouldn't even stop and look. Honestly, it was like it was actually like I'd broken up with a girl.
It was so. To move on to new girls like BT Squad or something like that.
Well, I got
SC Dons like new girls, isn't it?
I got asked to join. Do you remember Tobias Gaming?
Yeah.
And I know, and Adjei 3 FIFA. Yeah. They asked me to join they were going to start a team as well, because Reeve had a team, didn't he? Was it Reeve? What were they called? Rebel FC?
Rebel FC, yeah. That was Cowles and...
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And they were going to set up a rival team as well, this Tobias and Adjei 3 FIFA. And he messaged me saying, do you want to join it? And I remember speaking to Spencer and being like, what do you think? Like, they've asked me to join. Like, obviously, I would rather play for you guys. And he was like, I don't think you should do it. I think you should stay involved with us. And to be fair, I'm so glad I didn't do it, because I don't think they came to fruition. No. And if I'd have burnt a few bridges and then put myself in a bit of a shit situation, then it wouldn't have been... it wouldn't have probably set me in good stead. But there's so many things that came from that are just so funny. Like, I look back, like Dan Adjei got me a pair of football boots for free, because he worked at Adidas, got me a pair of Adidas glitch boots. And I always said, if I ever get a free pair of football boots, I know I've done all right. And I got these boots for the post, and I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I was like,
I've made it.
I was like, this is unbelievable. But you weren't, so Did you get? Am I right in saying you got sponsored by Adidas or something, or was that hashtag that got sponsored by Adidas? And then you got load of free boots and gear and stuff like that.
They were kind of like in talks with Adidas.
Were they?
And then I did a few stuff with Glitch. Like they did a campaign that I got like approached for. It was like me and Reece Nelson doing like a kick up. It's like it's literally a 10-second clip on for the Adidas Football's Insta. Yeah. And it's basically in this really like dark room, and there's like a background behind. About 50 people, like producers, cameraman, everywhere. And it was basically doing this routine. And this guy showed me a routine. I was like, I've got to remember all of that. It was like some kick ups and then like a drag back and a step over and then do this and that. And because it's to the camera, you had to do it in like a certain way to like focus on the boots and the camera. And then I remember I like nailed it. And then Reece Nelson came in. And like he literally turned up for like half an hour. I was there for 6 hours. He literally rocked up half an hour, got treated like a god. Yeah. Because he was like the face of it like back then. And I was probably like a bit eager. I was like trying to show him like what to do. Because they're like, oh, this is the move you need to do. Like just replicate what Scott's doing. And I was like being a bit busy. I was like, okay, like this is my chance. Like Reece Nelson's watching me. So I did these like mad step overs, drag back, like flicked it on my head. And he just went, rah. I've got to do that. I was like, oh my God. I was thinking like,
that is mint. That is like, so good.
Did I do it too quick or
Yeah.
something like that? But no, I think there is a clip on
sick,
Instagram. It's me. You can barely see it's me, but like I'm doing like a neck stool thingy and flicking it up and like showing the boots.
It's when the pressure's on as well.
Like,
it's hard to do that.
Mate, the pressure in that stuff. Like fair play to all like football
actors almost.
Actors, yeah. Because like they're like, okay, 3, 2, 1, like roll in. You do a step over, and they're like, cut. It's like you need to do like a step over, like a bit more, push it that way, or like drag it back to this spot here, so then the camera can get it. And it's like 3, 2, 1, and like step over, and like you try and flick it up, and like you miss it. And like shit, like do it again. Like 3, 2, 1, rolling, like flick it up, and then you think you've like nailed it. You're like, yeah, could we get another shot of that? Another angle. I'm thinking, fucking hell, I was here for like 6 hours, like.
And there's more and more pressure, I imagine, every time you do it
imagine
wrong.
You can't do a trick, and you're like.
And then
you're gonna have to change it. Like.
Then you get in your own head.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this now. So.
Yeah, but I think that happened. I was like, I think that looks alright, and they were like, no, we'll change it. We'll like do this and that, and like, they were like, oh, what moves can you do? Like,
Can you pass it?
What's your best move? Like, do that. Yeah, do that.
What moves can you do? That's class. I mean, you've just for 22, you've done fucking loads.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely jealous, but. It was so good to watch from afar after I'd got over the breakup, to see you smashing it, because it was just like, because I'd known you and we'd sort of gone through it. Well, we had gone through it together, but like we were like the ones that sort of spoke to each other from the beginning. And I think people sort of saw that in the competition as well. Yeah. Then do you remember Kofi Shaw?
Yeah.
What a boy he was as well. And he probably went out too early as well. There was loads of people that probably went out too early. Yeah. And I probably got through when I shouldn't have. I remember when we played the game where Akinfenwa watched, I had a stinker. Like, I was really bad and I thought, I'm out. They lined us all up and they said the numbers. And I was like, I'm not going to get through here. And then it was a second to last one. They were going through like defenders to midfielders to attackers. And I was a midfielder then. And they said me second to last, and I was like, "How the fuck have I got through?"
Why do you think you got through?
Because of my personality, I think. At that one, I think that carried me through.
What just makes good TV?
Yeah, well, because I was just like, the pressure makes diamonds line sort of stuck, and then obviously, I was just confident on camera. And then also, what happened was, this was after this, so they couldn't have foreseen this happening. But like when I scored that free kick in the football challenges, and then lifted the top up and had the pressure makes diamonds again, like that. Was probably something where they thought, "Oh, gay! I can't believe he's just done that."
Yeah. They need stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day, it is a series for entertainment. Like, although they're finding the footballer to actually go in their team, like they need it to be entertaining. Like, they need people that have got a bit about them and like the interviews and stuff like that. So that's probably why like a few people went out that were probably all right at football,
better than me,
but
at
they
football,
just kind of gave nothing to the camera.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't really have like a tagline behind them and stuff.
That's
like
true. Actually, there was a couple that there was a guy who was a Greek lad. He was a centre half, and I can't remember what his name was. But he was a bit older as well.
Stavros Nikos.
Yeah, one of them. But he was really good. Like he was like feet wise. He was like, I was like thinking, fucking hell, this kid's good. And he didn't have a great game in the same game. I didn't have a great game, and he went out. And I obviously, like I said, got through. Which, like I say, the personality sort of carried me through. But you're right. It was like a TV show, and I don't think they saw foreseen or whatever the word would be how popular it got, because I think they thought it would do well, and I thought being involved in that, I thought, this is a great opportunity, it will do really well. But it took over YouTube the time it was on.
It was ridiculous.
How did you find it going onto camera for the first time? Was it?
To be fair, I was so young. It was like I didn't know how to come across.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'd say I was a bit shy then at the time, and I've kind of grown into a personality now. But back then I was like, I don't know what is right to say. Do I try and say too much? Do I just go try and be a bit cool about it and not say too much? So I think a few interviews, especially on day one, I knew I had a shit interview and they didn't even put it in. Because they were asking questions, I was like, I base my game off Coutinho. Because why? I don't know, just think I play like Coutinho.
Yeah, delete that. Who's next?
Well, I think what helped you was Seb saying, remember the name Scott Pollock. Because everybody, that was literally it.
Did you get media training or anything? Or
nothing. Crack on.
They
were
just rock up.
It was literally like, I can't even describe what it was like. It was like, when you were a kid and you go to all the tournaments, when you get your hair spray painted and that.
Chaos.
Yeah, it was like that. There was just games going on everywhere. There was all the hashtag lads were walking around, watching the games, seeing what was going on. That was the best way to describe it, really.
Clipboards and stuff like that.
And were making notes.
Hands in the jacket like that.
Yeah, they did. They had big.
All serious and everything.
And they did none of that. It's funny as well because off camera you talk to them, and they were so just normal blokes.
People,
they were just kind of Spencer's done all this and we've gone along with it because it's great for them and they've had some great opportunities from it. Spencer's done unbelievably well from it, but they were just sort of it's literally us two doing this and all our mates, this blowing up and doing really well, and we got all our mates involved. That'd be what it's like. And they'd just be we're just sort of going along with the ride here, but it's class what's happening. Because some of them I'd love to know what some of them are doing now, like Stevens. Remember Stevens?
Yeah, I know.
Big tall.
They all had jobs anyway, good jobs in offices.
They did,
cause a lot of them were London based. And they obviously did this on the side, just a bit of football away from work. Yeah. And I bet they just loved all the travel and everything.
And they'd got loads of followers from it.
Yeah.
Because people that were, it's a bit weird now with hashtag, I think, because they're now a semi-pro team. Although they've got all the followers still, I think people don't see it. That they're not as not in love with the club, but they're not as sort of obsessed with it as it was when it was a YouTube team. Because when it was a YouTube team, I think people related to it loads more. And it wasn't.
They loved all the people like Stevens.
It was
Paul
more
Nash, people like that.
It
Jacko
was Jacko. It was more personalities, wasn't it? Rather than whereas now.
It was characters. They're more characters in a kind of. I don't know how you say it, but a series kind of on YouTube. They were the character. They were this character. They were this character. The mean one, the kind one, the good players,
so
the bad players.
You'd look forward to almost watching it. Whereas now it's not the people, but you can go and watch the games.
It's just a game.
It's just a semi-pro team. It's literally how it is, and they've got good people like PK Humble, who's fucking hilarious.
Was there an age bracket at the time when you two went on, or was it?
I think you had to be 16.
16
and then
to whatever.
Like
30-year-olds.
We were literally the youngest.
Was it? Did any older bloke get quite far, or was it keep the youngins on?
Mark Noble went out first.
I don't think he was as old as you think.
Wasn't he?
Honestly, I think it was 25.
He looked about 40.
No, I genuinely think it was 25.
Was he really? Yeah. I'll show you the clip after. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
They're literally saying the thing is as well on the questions that they ask, they don't say in the interview.
Yeah.
So the reason the pressure makes diamond things happened, I said that, was because they said to me, they said, what are you best at and what are you not so good at? And I was like, sometimes I crack under pressure. I get a bit nervous and sometimes I get in my own head, but hopefully I won't, and pressure makes diamonds and I'll not crack under the pressure, blah, blah, whatever it was. And they just clipped that.
Yeah.
So everybody was just like, why the fuck's this kid saying pressure makes diamonds? But in actual fact, it did make sense. And I remember watching it back thinking, fuck's sake, like a right titty.
So what was yours? Remember the name?
Yeah. So
how did you come up with that? Was it?
No, it wasn't you, was it? It was Seb.
Oh, was it?
Seb is Spencer's brother, who's now your agent, isn't he? And he was watching it the day. Seb's mint, to be fair. He was so sound. And he was just watching on the day, and he just said, because they would ask them, they were like, who do you think's standing out? And then Seb said, there's a lad called Scott, remember the name, Scott Pollock. And then that was what stuck with you, wasn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time. So watching the episode back, he was like, I've got a few players. And I was thinking, I don't know who it could be. And he was like, So he did this big pause, remember the name. And then obviously he said my name, I was thinking, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, this is, I'm literally in this episode. Like, my name's actually been said in this episode.
Yeah.
And then it, like, cut to a few highlights of me playing and stuff like that. And then he did some speech about, oh yeah, he's like done this and that all day. And like, yeah, remember the name. So that kind of stuck throughout the whole episode.
As a kid as well,
whole
like,
series.
we were literally
Yeah.
16, 17, mate. I can't tell you what it was like, because for me, anyway, I probably was very similar for you. They were literally like my idols almost. Like I loved them. Like I religiously watched all their episodes, all their YouTube videos, and then I was on their series and they were talking about us, and I was just like, what the fuck, this is.
That'd have been a bit mad. That
Yeah, it was.
No,
it
it
was.
was,
It
yeah.
was mind blowing. It was absolutely mental. Scott, I want to move on a little bit. Talk about something that you probably not really spoke about on camera, and is a little bit different. Obviously, during the series, I knew that your dad died when you was quite young, weren't you? What I want to sort of brush over it a little bit and talk about it. How old were you when your dad passed away?
It was 13.
And how did he pass away?
It was a brain tumour.
Was it?
Cancer, yeah.
Right. Okay. And at 13, what
Yeah.
like at that time, what
Thing
was
is,
that
it's-
like for you?
It was a weird age because like you're not old enough to fully like process it. I mean, you're not young enough to like have emotion. Like you're kind of in this in between of I kind of understand what's going on, and I've like got emotions, but it's not like fully coming out because I don't fully like grasp the situation. Obviously, if it was now, you've built a connection over like a certain amount of time and stuff like that, and like you're older, so you know more stuff about it. But that time, it was a bit weird. It was like I know what's happening, but then what does it mean? Like what's happening now? So it kind of hit me like a few years later.
Yeah.
And then I was like doing GCSEs and a bit more stressed and stuff, and I was like, oh shit, like this is kind of all hitting me now. At the time, it's like it just kind of happens.
Don't process it.
You don't process it
Yeah.
yet. It's just kind of happened. You're like, oh shit, like that's happened. But what
It
does
is-
it mean?
It is a
and stuff
mad
like
age,
that.
that 13, isn't
I
it?
think as well, you probably are in denial that it's
Yeah.
happened as well.
Yeah.
You probably don't let your brain doesn't want to let
Yeah.
you know that
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So
actually
your emotions don't like fully come out.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then a couple of years later, it like kind of all came out, and I won't say too much about my sister because that's her. Like, I don't know how much she wants to know, but she like suffered a bit more like mentally with it, and she
Is
was
she
in
younger
hospital.
than you?
Older.
Older,
Yeah, but she
right.
was 16 at the time doing
That's
GCSEs.
so heavy, that.
Like at the time, so a couple of years later, she was like in hospital. Like,
Right, okay. Took it worse. Almost
yeah,
took it
a
worse.
lot worse. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said that your dad was is he a massive football fan, or was a massive
Yeah,
football fan as
yeah.
well as you? So, I mean, you've done him like well proud
Yeah.
to be where you are. Obviously, I remember you saying it during the series as well. You said that you wanted to win it for your dad, which is such a lovely thing to sort of look back at, and to go on and win it as well is unbelievable. So, I mean, you kind of live in sort of the dream that you want to live, and do you feel like your dad's almost like sort of watching over you a little bit? And
Yeah, I'd say so.
Love
Like,
that.
he was big into his football and golf, and supported Leicester. So
You're a
Yeah.
Leicester fan as well,
Leicester,
aren't you?
yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
play golf?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any good?
All right, not as good as
What do
how
you
he
play
was,
off?
but probably about 20 now.
It's all right.
All
It's
right.
not bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that's
round
good.
and all right.
You played
Yeah.
with Seb?
yeah,
Because
a few
Seb's
times.
I bet
Yeah,
he's a joke.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Seb's a joke.
Yeah. So Seb
Yeah.
has got like a YouTube channel called Seb on Golf, and he won like an amateur tournament on Sky Sports or something.
Yeah.
But he's silly at golf. They're just a very talented family, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've all done very well for themselves. Scott, before we end, what we always do is we always ask sort of our guests, what's one piece of advice that you could tell your younger self? What would that sort of advice be for you, looking back at maybe a much younger Scott? You're only 22, but you've done
Innit?
so
Nice.
much.
I don't know. It's because obviously I've like left Northampton, like going from like League Two. You kind of think, oh, I had that like, which obviously there's still a chance now because I'm only 22. But when you're in and around it, you kind of wish like you fully took it in, because obviously you're a bit of a kid back then, and you kind of like just think you just get through it, and like you don't really sort of grasp that you're in that situation. It just kind of like passes you by. But I don't know. It's hard to say because like you got to that stage in the first place, so you kind of don't want to regret anything. But I don't know, maybe just focusing kind of on actually the moment then, like, rather than just kind of letting it pass by.
Pass by.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's a tough one to sort of
You got to
advise.
kind of live in the moment, aren't you? And it's
Yeah,
sort
that's
of,
the thing, you kind of,
you're probably thinking too far ahead of what you can
Yeah.
do after,
Yeah.
whereas what you actually want to be doing is just enjoying what you're doing at
yeah,
the time.
just
But
literally enjoy it, yeah.
you're young.
Human
as well,
nature
I
though,
think,
innit?
it?
It's
And
so
you're
young then, it's like you kind of,
17, 18,
Yeah.
like, at that time when I was 17, 18, like, if I knew the stuff you know now, when you're
Yeah.
17, 18, Jesus.
Everyone
it-
says that, though.
Yeah,
don't
but
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
even in so, like 4 years, 5
I know.
years, it's mental.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you was like 25 years, but
they? Yeah.
Because
Swear you make a digit up every time. 50.
you are well old though.
26 in that old.
It is compared to me.
Johnny's 27 over
Yeah,
there.
that's classed as late 20s.
Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right,
He's
go,
close.
off you go.
He's close.
Thanks for coming.
He's closer to 30.
So you
than
say
he is.
how old? Yeah, late 20s.
Yeah,
like,
Well, you're 25 next year.
Shit, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
still
All right.
Early
next
20s.
year.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah,
mid-20s.
yeah, mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're closer to 30. I said to you last night, actually, I said, your next big birthday's going to be 30. And I said, what should we do for that?
Well, your next
30.
your next one's
You're
30. You want to
nearly
look at it
dead,
like
mate.
that?
You're
nearly dead. Have you heard it?
Scott, thank you for coming on, mate.
Oh, no worries.
I've loved it. It's been like going down memory lane, reminiscing. It is bloody well on. I know, like, in crossing me and you sweating. Yeah. As soon as we're done with this, the fans going back on. So we'll put all your socials down below. Obviously, probably a lot of people watching this will follow you anyway. Follow hashtag as well. So if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to like, obviously subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And we'll see you all next week on the next episode. Crack it on. Vamos. Sweet, perfect. Oh my god, it's so hot.
It's hot, yeah.
Put it on. I'm sweating my fucking kegs off.